Thanks. I think it was a very powerful talk, Dr. Moses. Taking up from there, because I think I'm talking to an audience which is highly informative and already has that information. We do not really get it when we are talking in the real world. So just to make sure that people do understand what is the ecosystem right now out here, the outcome is going to, the background of my slides is going to be a quick background. What are the current policy and guidelines? And if we have time, a quick outline of some of the case studies that have been done in the real world settings, in the research, what is the real world evidence that has been created in the research, which we have actually built over a period of time. What are the challenges and opportunities that exist to improve scale and adoption via robust governance? We all know it is first, the fragmented data sets and limited interoperability. We all talk about data, but unfortunately, we really do not have the data on which we have to build the systems. Everybody has data, but the willingness to share the correct data for the startups is missing. Second, limited validation frameworks for clinical grade AI. Third, high compute costs and uneven access. Skill gaps across clinical, technical, and regulatory domains. Absence of localized model evaluation for the global south. The risk of bias and uneven outcomes is multilingual and multi-ethnic populations. These need to be addressed through cooperative governance and not isolated regulation. Operationally responsible AI in healthcare is interministerial efforts. We need data richness and volume, a policy commitment for scale, bias mitigation, accountability, safety and explainability, trust, strategy for AI in healthcare for India. Since 2017, the policy foundations for AI in healthcare had been set. The early vision around the national health policy came around integrated health information system. Niti Aayog came up for AI for health priority, a digital architecture design from 2018 to 19, where a national health stack focused on the interoperable building blocks, a national digital health blueprint with system architecture, standards, and governance framework defined. And implementation began with the national digital health rollout in 2022, where health IDs and consent-based data health exchange came up as a part of the ABDM. 2023 was a year of legal and governance foundation, when for the first time we came up with a Digital Personal Data Protection Act that was enacted. Rights-based framework for the health data use, ethical guidelines for AI in biomedical research and healthcare by ICMR, and finally in 2026 at the India Impact Summit, we came up with SAHI, that is a healthcare specific AI governance. Where does the ICMR come from? From NIMS to NIRDH. Before I come to the NIRDH, a brief about the Indian Council of Medical Research. It's an apex research organization, leads and coordinates research in medicine, public health, and allied disciplines. It develops and disseminates public health guidelines and regulations. It's a resource center for evidence-based public health practice. It's a network of 28 research institutes across India. It funds around 500 plus medical colleges, including technical institutes like IITs and ISCs, increasingly, as we are at the crossroad of technical competence to improve that. Capacity building, it strengthens capacity through advanced training and fellowships and delivers high-impact workshops and skill development. NIRDH is only 2 years old, but it has a legacy from 1977. It was earlier called the National Institute of Medical Statistics, where the technical expertise was in research methodology, program evaluation, and mathematical modeling. It had a landmark contribution on the HIV birth estimation in India. In 2024, all the ICMR institutes had a re-evaluation, and many of the institutes are now renamed with the new priorities. our institute was renamed as National Institute of Research in Digital Health, with preserving the NIMS pioneering medical research legacy while reinforcing focus on digital health, research and innovation, embracing advanced technologies on AI, ML, and real big data analytics to expand the scope of health research in India, and delivering a scalable impact on driving sustainable and digital transformation through ethical governance, evidence-based implementation, and inclusive approaches. The vision of the NIRDH is to enable digital health innovation through data-centric research, policy, enabling fair, efficient, and AI-driven healthcare, turning research into impactful digital solutions and responsible adoption. Support government in developing and operationalizing guidelines and strategies for responsible AI in healthcare. In 2023, NIMS came up with ICMR ethical guidelines for application of AI in biomedical research and healthcare, a much needed ethical guideline at the time when it was beginning to start post-COVID era. It established the ethical principles for health AI to promote responsible and trustworthy AI, guide developers, researchers, clinicians, and institutions, define ethics reviews and inform consent requirements, strengthen governance across the AI lifecycle, and enable safe and equitable AI adoption in healthcare. Just recently, last month, the operational guidelines for single ethics review for multicentral research has come up in India. This is a landmark decision because I think this was the biggest barrier for many of the multi-centric research that needed to be carried out across India. It used to take approximately 6 to 12 months to get all the multi-centric approvals, and this has changed the entire scenario now. So I would encourage people who are doing research to please go over the operational guidelines that have just recently come up to adopt them in their own ethics committees. Dr. Moses, I think coming up, I think this is where we are now looking at. This is one of the research that we will be taking up in the next months, I think next couple of months. It is a collaboration between our institute and EPFL on the contextual adaptation of massive online open validation and evaluation for Indian healthcare settings. It is around LLM chatbots and a crowdsourced community-driven evaluation and alignment platform for a federated AI governance framework, standardized model evaluation protocols, and technical, ethical, and contextual validation for model benchmarking, and user-driven validations, especially these are going to be user-based and specific cases. It can be anything, and I think we are looking for volunteers. Some of the international collaborations that we have actually been doing, one is with the World Health Organization with CRO, where an ICMR NIRDH has contributed to a chapter to the WHO AI Compendium presented at the India AI Summit, and we collaborated with MOHFW to develop the national strategy on AI in health and health system strengthening. Health AI, the Global Agency for Responsible Health AI in Geneva. We became the pioneer country and one of the few nations where MIT is a co-signatory and a pioneer country for responsible AI in health. Third is with Hopkins, we are looking at validation frameworks that can be used for adaptation within the country. Coming to CDSCO, this is a draft guidance document, I think, and it is still being reviewed as we are talking. It is a guidance document on medical device software. Now, CDSCO has regulated AI-enabled software as a medical device through the Medical Device Rules 2017 and the draft guidelines on medical device software using a risk-based framework focused on safety, performance, and life cycle oversight has been released. It still is going a review. I think we all know that. But this has been the first step where the regulation bodies have come out. The good thing is, because of the AI, all the ministries have been forced to collaborate together. So it's the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, it is ICMR, it is actually, they are talking to MIT, and it is NHA. All the ministries are now cross-talking to ensure, and of course the industry partnerships are already there, to ensure that when we are talking and when these guidelines are done, it becomes a living document with a continuous feedback cycle to ensure it is updated, and the industry has the first try so that the innovation is not stifled at the same point. I'll just leave the slide up there for you to take a look, because I think there are many slides, and I would like to just quickly take you over, because so that people are aware what are the guideline documents available, and they can go and read it. These are the challenges in the regulation-compliant AI-based medical devices, where unlike traditional medical devices, AI models do evolve over time. And as Dr. Moses had said, what you actually give and what you put are two different things. So we have to ensure whatever changes are there need to be made, they need to be actually informed to the regulator at the point. It is if there are minor modifications. Do not think that it is going to be just taken like that, or it is not valid. These are the India AI governance guidelines, enabling safe and trusted AI innovation. It is focused on the governance guidelines of 7 guiding principles or sutras. Based on these 7 sutras of trust and the foundation, people first, innovation over restraint, fairness and equity, accountability, understanding by design, safety, resilience, and sustainability, we came up with a strategy for AI in healthcare for India, and now we have the committees to actually take it forward for the implementation. The next thing that was, and again, the first pillar was on governance, regulation, and trust, which is the main pillar that we are looking at as we are talking. Coming to the second one that was released again at the India Impact Summit, it is the benchmarking of open data platform for health AI. Again, for this to be functional, we are looking at the data sets that are the gold standard data sets that are required when we are talking. So we do have the guardrails and policies in place. Now we have to work to ensure that we have the systems in place so that these are successful. Quickly, I'll go to the classic AI studies that have formed, and which I was a part, and I'll say that is a real-world evaluation of AI-driven DR screening in public health settings. I believe this is the most validated case study across the world, which has been used by most countries to evolve their public health systems. Second is the Andhra Pradesh State MedTech Innovation Deployment that just recently happened. And I think hats off to the Andhra Pradesh government at the speed at which it was implemented. So, few things that I just wanted to highlight in the interest of time. In this study, 3 companies agreed, 1 declined, and 1 chose to withdraw. That was a US company, which because it did not make the cut. They performed like they had 99% sensitivity with 4% specificity, clearly showing that they did not have the right database when we actually tested. So they chose to withdraw and did not go to the next phase in the implementation thing. Study processes have to be followed. Please ensure that all these processes are followed when you are validating, including CTRI registration. Otherwise, you will not be able to publish. These were the data set details that were taken by the companies when we had tested, but none of the companies were actually willing to share the exact methodology, how they collected the data, and whether it was collected in the responsible manner. These were the claim diagnostics, and this was what came when we actually took them to the field. So you can see there was a huge difference when we actually tested in the real world settings. This is the last study, I will say. One of the 3 AI models demonstrated, this is the second phase when the models actually improved. And adoption and feasibility findings and adherence to referral institutions do remain low. Even if you are putting the systems in place, ensure the referral systems have to be in place, otherwise it's of no use. Because without the systems in place, having a model and a screening and improving, there's no point in screening and not having a referral system in place. And last, I think this is the Andhra Pradesh MedTech model where the policymakers, the startups, the research finders, they all came into place. 18 startups were finalized, and now I think we have like 4 winners, and with a contract that the Andhra Pradesh government is considering to give the 4 winner startups that actually made the cut. So this is the final slide I have, and thank you.